Hello and welcome. My name is Sara Vance. I'm a senior at Peru State College in Peru, Nebraska, and today I'm going to present to you on technology and the science classroom. So my goal today is to go over 4 objectives: to review how science has typically been used in the science classroom, to observe how science technology integration is in today's classes, and research history of technology in science classrooms, and then finally draw conclusions on what this will look like in my future classroom. So the history that I did had to do, or the research that I did was based off 3 main articles that I found very interesting. And all of these articles talked about how technology has really changed from what it used to look like even 100 years ago. 100 years ago, you would copy and paste. You would copy down what a primer book had in front of you, and that's how you learned, is repetition. And then came the projector and the computer and all of these future technologies that are still evolving, but we're still not quite using in classrooms today. So what is used today? iPads and tablets are frequently used as what we are using here today. iPhone, tablet. We are using smart boards like the one behind me. We are using distance learning, which is even more relevant in today's society with the coronavirus going on. We are using blogs and video logs. We are using apps, and we're using podcasting. And these are great resources to help bring technology into classrooms in a different way. So I have had the privilege of observing over 100 hours in classrooms as part of my education as a 7 through 12 science, K through 12 special education major here at Peru State College. And what I've noticed is that oftentimes teachers tend to use the same technologies over and over again. If they like PowerPoint, that's all they'll ever use. And unfortunately, this isn't what's in the best interest of our students. Kids enjoy using technology and they often look forward to it, especially when it's used in moderation. Often the same activities are used without a variety. And science is naturally hands-on, and there are many new research projects and research abilities that we can do in classrooms that use technology that are not currently being used worldwide. The problem with science is that it is vocabulary heavy, and teaching vocab can be very challenging, especially for some students that may have IEPs or may not just get a topic like other students do in a classroom. So these are some pictures that I actually took at classrooms that I observed, since they're very typical here in the Midwest to see. So the history of technology and science, textbooks. Textbooks are used even today. Textbooks were used even then. The STS movement, which is Science, Technology, Society movement. This was in the 1980s. And this movement encouraged teachers to begin thinking about how to incorporate technology, but didn't really give them the resources needed to incorporate that. Technology education, that is our current movement. Most of that is called the STEM. If you've heard STEM or STEAM, these are all the daughters of technology education movement. So what does this mean? Well, a need to integrate technology and science better. That's what I'm finding. We need to embrace advancements. If advancements happen out in the world, we need to be able to bring some of those back into our classroom. Because if we don't, then we're not preparing our students for the world of tomorrow. We're preparing them for the world that we're in today and not really giving them the resources they need to be successful. We need to prepare students for real world implications. We need to use technology effectively using the TPACK or SAMR model. And I don't have time to go into detail about what those are, but it does talk about substituting and augmentating and modifying different technologies. So that way, when you think about bringing something in, you can check with these models to see where it fits in and if it's a good fit. If it's just substituting flashcards for Quizlet, maybe that's not the best technology that you can bring to your classroom, but it is something that you can bring. And we're going to move beyond replacing or substitution with technology. So how do we do that? We can use applications like these. This one right here is the Accelerate AR, and it's a physics program where you can actually see how fast something can move in digitally world. So you can use virtual reality in a different way and really bring that into the classroom. Gamers have been using that for many years now. Why not use it in our classroom? And I like the Google Science Journal. That's a digital way of creating a science journal that you might see in classrooms. Those are very popular because they encourage students to relay information in a way they understand. This is a digital way of doing that for your students that are not artists like me. It gives them a different way of relaying that information. iNaturalist and eBird encourage students to get out of the classroom and get into nature, but bring that technology with them so that they can identify what they're looking at. So this is another way of doing that. If you scan this AR code, you can actually see a web quest that I created that is very virtual and yet still relates to the world by leaf identification. It brings that into a 3D model. And these are some different ways to bring virtual reality and other technologies into a classroom effectively. I particularly like using virtual manipulatives and doing learning stations where as elementary students, we encourage students to move from one station to another when they're doing reading. Why can't we do that with technology in science classrooms? So just some ideas that I would encourage you to use. So looking ahead, what this means for my classroom, it means that I have a blockade that I have to accomplish and get over because I don't feel like my education classes are truly preparing me to teach science in a way that uses technology effectively. So that's something that I personally have to overcome. But I have learned that there are global learning opportunities. There are digital and audio e-textbooks that you can use rather than just a textbook. There are systematic games. There's flexibility with online learning, and I think that every educator today, currently in this situation with schools being closed, can rely on that, can relate to that. And learning is lifelong. It's not something that you just go to a classroom and learn. It's something that you continue to learn inside and outside of the classroom. So better and more effective differentiation. And I really like this quote. At the heart of effective technology integration, technology offers opportunities to be more actively involved in the learning experience. Vanessa Vance. And then this is a PDF that I created for you to use. It has over 30 different apps that if you would like to use and check out different websites that I have reviewed using the standard model. Thank you for your time, and I wish you safe and healthy futures. Thank you.